Director Ray?
Well, I think we're talking about Danny Windsor.
Yes, I do know that, but I wanted to get mine. I know. I wanted to get mine.
Second motion first. So the second, just to be clear, the initial motion was for Aaron Kane. We had a second motion, which we are addressing now, for Danny Windsor. We'll take that out of your time for the first motion, Director Myers. Thank you. So any other directors on the second motion, which is the modification of the resolution to insert the name Danny Windsor? Director Ray, go ahead.
So I concur, first of all, with Director Myers regarding we have two very capable finalists for the position. And I'll save my comments because obviously I've been quoted many times regarding our support or my support of Aaron Kane. Certainly, and she did a fine job. I certainly will not waver from that position while she was the interim superintendent. However, I believe that when we really look at the data objectively, let's begin with the community survey or the community forum surveys. We received about 1,300 responses. Read through every one of those yesterday morning through today, and certainly what you see if you look at those objectively and ask the question, how many of those are favorable, have favorable impressions for Danny Windsor, and how many are favorable impressions of Aaron, you get kind of a different perspective in terms of just quantifying it. Certainly what my calculations came up with is that there was, of the 1,300, there was about 22% that had favorable responses about Aaron. There was 97% that had favorable responses regarding Danny. Our first round of interviews that we did publicly as a board, we also had a session of collecting input for those interviews as well. And again, just to quantify those, we had 596 people respond regarding Aaron, where there was 433 that were favorable impressions, which is about 72% of the people that responded. For Danny, we had 748 responses, 736 were favorable, with again, roughly 98% of those respondents were favorable. I think if you go back, and I don't know if all of us had the opportunity, I know I had the opportunity to talk to the facilitators of each of the interview panels. And that was very insightful as well. And I think, again, what some of the themes I find with regards to Danny, the very first thing that the facilitator said about the licensed and the classified employees panel was they would follow him anywhere. And that really resonated for me in terms of he already has tremendous support of the organization, of the system already. They like that he has a wide network and connections with diverse stakeholders. They said that he showed his love for the district by using a lot of we statements as opposed to I statements. And I know as a hiring professional for many years, that was something we always listened for too, is do candidates project themselves as just I, or do they see themselves as part of the organization or part of the team? I also like this statement that the classified and licensed employees made. They said he listens to understand, he doesn't listen to respond, and how different that is. But I think if you listen to our facilitators all through each of the panels, you really heard a different kind of passion about Danny in terms of his heart, in terms of how he speaks to the whole child, in terms of his servant leadership. Even the students was really what I always enjoyed the most and listened for. But some of the things they described him as is that they said he respected us, and they could tell he valued diversity. You could tell that he loves the district, and they used several words, and just like I said, I love our kids because they, to me, are the most insightful of this organization, but these are the words they used: thoughtful, reflective, authentic, listener, inclusive, goal-oriented, experienced, knowledgeable, advocate for our mental health. And so those are out of the words of our students. And to me, that has the heaviest bearing in terms of where I think we need to go with the superintendent. For me, the question really becomes, who can provide the calm and the stability that we desperately need in this organization? We desperately want that stability and calmness for our staff and our students, our teachers. And so as I listened to both candidates and I listened to how they're responded to, and I think we even heard that from some of our public commenters tonight, someone said, who is the candidate that's going to cause the least amount of continued turmoil and continued polarization? And this is not at all a diss towards Erin, but she just comes with a different set of things that people perceive, whether it's wrong or right. But I don't hear that in Danny. I mean, even when you listen to the public commenters tonight, I didn't hear anyone talk about the polarization that Danny represents. They talked about the fact that they see him as someone that supports teachers and staff. You know, one of the things that I know back when we did our screening interviews, I think there was this moment that all 7 of us had where we had this glimmer of hope. Because we walked out of the screening interviews with 2 people that we really felt like could lead us and provide us that continuity and collaboration and coming together. And that was a good moment to feel that we honestly could find someone that could cause all of us to be on the same page as far as returning our focus to kids, as opposed to it, and this is a quote that Danny said in his interview, he said he wants to take the focus off of the 7 people on the dais and put it back on our students, and that resonated with me as well. So I just think we have such an opportunity tonight to do something pretty incredible and send a message to our community that we can come together, that we can rally behind a leader, but more importantly, we can rally behind the symbolism that says that this is a person that we believe can pull us all together and help. It's like one of the speakers said, take it down a notch, take the temperature down. I just feel that if we put Danny forward as our sole finalist, we will immediately hear this sense of relief from a multitude of people. And it's not because Erin is not an exceptional leader, she is, but there's so many unfortunate circumstances surrounding her candidacy that we continue to hear tonight, we continue to hear in our email, and whether it's true or not, I'm not gonna press that tonight, but it's just unfortunate the path that Erin has been on, not because of her, but just because of the circumstances around some issues around board majority versus board minority. So I would just appeal to all of you to do what's in the best interest of our district, not just the supporters who elected us, but what will get us back on track to focus on student learning rather than reacting to this frenziness of divisiveness. So I would tell you my vote tonight for Danny is more symbolic than it is for one individual. Selecting Danny to me symbolizes and signals a desire to find common ground, to restore trust, and to place the students, or place the focus on our students and not us. So that's what I would advocate, is that let's do something symbolic tonight. The greatest gift we could give our community, our staff, our students, is to walk away tonight with a 7-0 decision on a sole finalist. And I think if we could do that, that would be a huge turning point for us as a board, but even more importantly for the district in terms of moving forward. So those are just some beginning thoughts I have regarding moving Mr. Winsor forward as a sole finalist.